Welcome to the preview for the Formula 1 2019 Singapore Grand Prix. The first ever country, the first ever circuit in fact, to host a night race. It's done so ever since 2008 and this year it's the exact same. A tight, narrow, twisty street circuit. Over the years it's caught out many drivers, played host not only to Crashgate, one of the biggest Formula 1 scandals of all time, also couple of years back in 2017, a start line crash from the leaders Sebastian Vettel, Max Verstappen, Kimi Raikkonen and poor old Fernando Alonso all getting involved in turn 1, and that was a race where good old Jolyon Palmer was as high as second place and also overtook a Mercedes on pure pace. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that did once happen, all in Singapore. This year, well, 2019, I think it's fair to say, started off a little bit slow, but the season's been a slow burner. Got better and better, and last time out, as you see the result on screen now, it was Charles Leclerc in front of the Tifosi at Monza. He took his second ever Formula 1 victory. The kid's only in his second season of Formula 1, and he performed so well. Okay, it was slightly controversial, but aren't most Formula 1 races these days. Of course, we spoke about it in length, but Leclerc, in my eyes, and I think in most people's eyes, a worthy winner. The amount of pressure on him on the day was intense, and yet he delivered. He pulled off what many Ferrari fans would probably describe as a miracle, considering the first half of 2019, but he's now won 2 in a row. Looks unlikely he will do the same this weekend, both Spa and Monza. Big, fatty, long straights really benefits the Ferrari. That was very generic terms, but I hope you understand there. This circuit, twisty, narrow, should more play into the hands of the Mercedes and the Red Bull. And as we move into the drivers' standings, I think the big and key player this weekend, at least at the front of the field, is going to be Alex Albon. Because the Ferraris, as I just mentioned, you don't expect them to realistically be fighting for the victory. Of course, a couple of years ago, we didn't expect Hamilton to be fighting for the victory. But first corner, that all changed. But on pure pace, we expect Mercedes to most likely be the number 1, then Red Bull, then Ferrari. So this is a great opportunity for Max Verstappen to try and catch up Valtteri Bottas. But I think more importantly, it's a big opportunity for Alex Albon to really prove what he's worth this weekend. His first weekend got a grid penalty. His second weekend, teammate Max Verstappen got a grid penalty. He's currently in 9th at the moment, Alex Albon, as you can see, on 34 points. Behind Gasly still, behind Sainz. This weekend, no penalties, gloves are off. It's going to be in the midst of battle, really, with Max Verstappen at a circuit where Red Bull should be quick. There's going to be pressure on Albon, but if he can perform this weekend, that puts to bed most of the doubters that are still questioning his performances so far in 2019, and hopefully should push him a little bit further up that table. But of course, no preview and predictions video would be complete without a hot lap. We're back on Formula 1 2019 this weekend. Apologies for last time out, but we are back. So, let's jump into a hot lap for the Singapore Grand Prix. Welcome to another scruffy lap from myself. Welcome to another hot lap in Formula 1 2019. Heading down towards turn 1, one of the better opportunities for overtaking. Going through sector 1, you've got these tight, twisty left, right, left, up towards the first DRS detection zone. This, to me, is the best overtaking opportunity on the circuit. We've got 3 DRS zones this year. DRS would be open now, heading down towards the second sector. Perfect opportunity late on the brakes. We've seen some clashes here before. Kevin Magnussen and Felipe Massa historically getting very close. Going through sector 2 now, not many opportunities for overtakes, and this section here now is where Hamilton and Verstappen came up against those back markers last year. It's also where the Singapore Sling used to be, but now it's this almost flat out section of corners heading through the bridge. A lovely section there. Moving on to our second DRS zone. Another brilliant place for overtaking, especially with the slipstream effects this year. Expect this to be a place where things get a little bit dicey. Michael Schumacher struggled with that corner a fair bit. A few incidents in his latter career in Formula 1. Now heading through to Sector 3, a complex deep in Formula 1 history. Right there is where Crashgate happened. It's also where Romain Grosjean crashed the year later. Through Sector 3 now. Again, not many opportunities for overtakes here, but if you can get close to the car in front as we start to round off the lap now, the start-finish straight will be a third DRS section this year in effect from now, and that is your lap of the Singapore Grand Prix. So now we've had a little look at the circuit. Here's some statistics. Last 5 winners, it's been a bit of a mixed bag. Hamilton won the first race in the hybrid era back in 2014. Then we saw Sebastian Vettel win in his first season for Ferrari, arguably one of his best races in 2015, but it was also a race Mercedes really struggled, weren't even on the podium on that particular day. Red Bull had a really good weekend that particular weekend as well. Nico Rosberg in his championship winning year won in 2016, but in the past 2 seasons, it's been Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton that have come out on top. But as I've mentioned a few times already, 2017 probably should have gone to Ferrari or Red Bull on pure pace, and 2018 last year, as you can see some more in detail statistics on the right hand side, Hamilton didn't quite get it all his own way. Verstappen was right behind him in quali and right behind him in the race, but it was Sergei Sorokin and Grosjean, backmarkers, caused a bit of a fuss. And now as we move into the newsroom, both Williams and Romain Grosjean are big in the news today. Firstly, Williams, they have announced they're continuing with Mercedes engines, not only for the next couple of years, but deep into 2024. A team that are struggling at the back of the grid, have had a difficult 2 or 3 seasons now. Yes, in 2017 they got a podium with Lance Stroll, but apart from that, results have really dwindled off since the start of the hybrid era. And whilst 2021, I think is Williams' most realistic chance of moving back up the field, a little bit like they did at the start of the hybrid era, I think sticking with Mercedes is a sensible option. We spoke about Haas, actually, the last couple of days, and whether it would be sensible for them, and McLaren likewise, to become a works team. But I think for a team like Williams, taking a gamble like that, with a team which already is struggling, for me, is too big of a risk, and to potentially go even further back and spend more money isn't something they're looking at doing, so brilliant for them. Romain Grosjean, if you haven't seen my video, would recommend for a pretty, let's say, intense reaction to my reaction to the news that Romain Grosjean will stay with Haas for 2020. I think I'm definitely in the majority in saying this is a mega surprise and nobody expected this. Okay, 1 or 2 of you might have thought, well, it's sensible just to be consistent, a little bit like what I've just said with Williams, and just keep things the same while the team goes through a bit of a struggle, a bit of a low patch, if you want to say. But Grosjean this year, I've said it a few times, if you look into his results a little bit more in detail than you normally would, I don't think it's been a dreadful year. I think he's been as good as Kevin Magnussen. I think it's unfair to say better. There's room for improvement for sure, but that car has not been good. I still think he's lucky though to get another chance in 2020. But of course, full reaction in earlier video today. Robert Kubica. Haven't done a video on this one yet. I'm not surprised he's leaving Williams for 2020. I think what is nice though is it's Robert, well, at least this is how they're portraying it to the press, but I also believe this as well, it's Kubica's decision. Now, whether that's because results haven't quite been there, of course, you can point out he's the only one who scored Williams' sole point, but I think for him, what was worth more is the incredible story of having his injury back in 2011 and this incredible journey and fight back into Formula 1. And the fact he made it last year as a test driver, I'm sure he was proud. But to be able to race, to be able to get that point in Germany, considering how bad the car is this year, I think, to be honest, he's probably thought to himself, well, just going round at the back of the grid isn't really doing his reputation much good. It's not as if a big team are going to take him back. So Robert will be moving on in 2020. Gives chances to guys in the younger formulas, in Formula 2. Potentially could be a seat for Hulkenberg. So I think that's a nice way for Kubica to leave Formula 1. And our final bit of piece in the newsroom. Technical updates. Yes, this is not my strong suit, but what I can tell you is both Racing Point and Ferrari have bought new front wings to this particular race. Racing Point already this year have changed their ugly front nose to this fairly basic design, and Ferrari also have bought a supposed big upgrade, but again, this is not my area of expertise whatsoever, but I just thought I'd keep you in the know, just in case Ferrari go 10 seconds quicker than everyone else. You were told here first, it was their front wing. Anyway, moving on to predictions, my favourite bit of a weekend, just having a pure stab in the dark to what the results are going to be. And as always, the next slideshow on screen will show you your list of predictions to do in the comments. So I'll go through some of those after the video and have a little chat with you guys down there. But I've gone with a Lewis Hamilton pole position. I think we saw last year how good this man can be over one lap. And whilst in 2019, I don't think it's been his best season for qualifying, it's still been pretty solid. I expect Mercedes to be the team to beat this weekend. However, I expect Verstappen to really want this race. 2 disappointing results at the end of the European stint. I expect him to come back fighting. So I've gone with him for the victory. I've also gone with Albon for a podium because I think Mercedes and Red Bull will share the top 4 on the grid, but I think Red Bull will have the better race pace. I think Ferrari will be fighting for 5th and 6th. This is your predictions league kind of thing we're doing in the comment section over the season. I want to know, who do you think is going to get pole position? Who's going to share the front row? And who's going to be the biggest shocker? Could Williams spring a surprise? They were quick and hungry in qualifying. Potentially this could be a circuit which suits their car a little bit better. Likewise with Haas, although this could be a hot one, so maybe Haas could be the team at the back of the grid. Who's going to win? Who's going to be on the podium? First retirement, driver of the day, and best of the rest. Whoa, we made it. We got it through. Lots of news today. It's been a very, very hectic day, so I will leave it there. As always, if you are new and if you've made it this far, feel free to subscribe. I mean, if you've made it this far, what are you doing? I hope you have enjoyed, and I hope you really enjoy the weekend. It can sometimes be a little bit boring, the Singapore Grand Prix, but so far this year in 2019, doesn't matter if it's usually boring, 2019 has been awesome. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.